Hey, what up, everybody? Good morning and happy Tuesday. Dan Kasper Show is on the air on your radio dials, 105.1 FM, 790 AM, also available online, sportstalk1051.com, where you can get the video stream or just stream it online there. The Sports Talk app in your Google and Alexa home devices. As I mentioned, also YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, video stream up and rolling. Hopefully, you all had a fantastic weekend. We were off yesterday. So hopefully, you all had a good weekend. Kind of a long weekend. Had some luck out in the woods. As you can tell, my voice is a little rough, but we're going to try to make it through. So if you hear me try to clear the throat here a little bit, we're gonna grind through this on this Tuesday morning. Still getting over a little 101 fever, sore throats, cough, but you know what? We filled the freezer on Sunday, filled up the dough tags. So there you go. We filled up the freezer. But any of you all going out for a little opening day weekend, if you had any luck, don't forget, send those photos on over to us so we can put them up on the Tilden Gun Trophy board. All right. So hopefully you all had some good luck and had some memories, maybe with the family and the kiddos and all that sort of thing. But if you got any good stories, send those babies on over too. Okay. So, what do we got on the game plan here this morning? What do we got on the game plan here this morning? Well, we're going to talk a little Milwaukee Bucks. Bucks picking up the W last night against the Portland Trailblazers. Bucks improving to 11-4 on the season. It was a 119-111 victory last night. Giannis putting up 37 points, 7 rebounds, 6 assists to lead the. Yeah, Drew contributing 7. Grayson Allen putting up 17. Bobby Portis coming bench putting up 13. So Bucks improving to 12, or excuse me, 9. Did I say 11? 4, 12-4, 9-1 at home. Their next game coming up against the Chicago Bulls tomorrow night. So we're going to hit up a little hoops talk with the Bucks picking up another W. Bucks still remaining in that second spot in Eastern Conference, just a half game back from the Boston Celtics. Boston finally losing a game, but they're 9-1 in their last 10 games. So Boston still hot right now, still hot. Portland was in the early parts of the season one of the top teams in the Western Conference, but they've now lost 3 in a row and they're just 5-5 in their last 10. Still a good victory though for the Bucks going up against Portland, because you look at that Western Conference and this whole thing is still early, obviously, in the NBA, still way early, but Portland's like the ace seed right now, and they're just one game back from first in the Western Conference. That's how tight things are in the West right now to begin this season. What we're about about a month into over a month already into the season. So, with that being said, how would you assess the first month of this Milwaukee Bucks season? Anything stand out to you? Anything? Oh, I got really high right there. Anything stand out to you? Anything, negative from this team? Anything concern you about this team in the first month of the season? Your first month impressions of this Bucks season. Start hitting me up with some texts on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line, 715-830-1912. Hit me up on Twitter at DANKASPER, Facebook.com/Kasper Sports. Or you can also comment on the video stream up the two. So, but your first month impressions of this Bucks team. I know there's a lot more positives and negatives, but if there is something that you've kind of noticed with this Bucks team that might be a little bit of a negative, what would it be? What would it be? I'm curious to get your responses on that. So, not a whole lot surrounding the Green Bay world out there, because, well, their game was last Thursday. We recapped it on Friday. So not a whole lot going on there. But the only thing that I've kind of seen that maybe is worth talking about that somebody had tweeted out on Twitter that their Twitter handle is Big Packers 4X. Big Packers 4X. So apparently he was part of a Make-A-Wish, and he asked Rogers during his Make-A-Wish how his finger is, and replied that his thumb is actually broken. So we knew that there was obviously an issue with his thumb, and is it bigger than what it is being said out there? So, I mean, now is the question: at what point do they kind of put Aaron on that injured reserve sort of thing, and then maybe give Jordan Love, about 4 games, because you put him on injured reserve, that's 4 games. Do they wait and see how Philly and Chicago go heading into their bye week? I don't know. I don't know how this is going to play out. I really have no idea, because I don't see Green Bay. I just dropped my tab. I don't see Green Bay benching Aaron Rodgers just to give Jordan Love any time. I don't see that happening at all. But I can see a quote-unquote injured reserve stint coming up, especially if it's like, heck, maybe it's just the last couple games of the regular season when they're maybe mathematically officially out of this whole thing. I could see that happening. And those, especially with the last 2 at home, maybe too. But I could definitely see that. But knowing that Aaron has that broken thumb, does that alleviate some of the issues that you've had with his play, or like, nah, no? We've seen Favre do it with a broken thumb and this, that, and the other thing. But I don't know. I don't see the Packers benching Aaron Rodgers anytime soon. Anytime soon. But I can definitely see an IR stint coming maybe in those last couple of weeks to give them a good impression of Jordan Love. But I also feel like if they put Aaron on injured reserve, maybe they got a good idea he's coming back next year, because I don't know if they would put him on injured reserve if they feel like this is his final year. Give him that swan song, right? Especially with the final 2 games at home. Give him that proper send-off, if you will. But that's kind of where everything's starting to, trend. At what point do you kind of like look at this season when it comes to the Packers and be like, okay, now it's just about, maybe this is the final few games of Aaron. Maybe this is, you're starting to kind of like, all right, let's just, look at these last few. This is probably the last time we might see Aaron in a 12 jersey, or suited up in a Packers jersey. Just going to take it on, and kind of like the 2005 season, maybe with Favre. Done. They finished 4-12 that year. And, just kind of watching those games. It was a bad year for Favre too, but you're just like, all right, this might be the final year. Ended up not being, he played for a few more years, but it's going to take it on in. Might be the last time you see him play. I mean, Green Bay right now is sitting at 11th. The Detroit Lions are a spot above them. Don't look now. Detroit's won 3 in a row. Not many people calling for Dan Campbell's job as of late. But I don't know. Going to be weird. So let's throw a little green and gold chat in there too. Badgers, we're going to catch up with our good buddy, RJ Cardinal from the Zone in Madison. Badgers are bowl eligible with that 15-14 victory over Nebraska. RJ was actually in Nebraska watching this game, so we'll get his thoughts on the Badgers being bowl eligible heading into their final regular season game going up against Minnesota. Battle for the axe. But we'll get his thoughts, too, on the whole Jimmy Leonard. Give him the job now. Post it. Give him, with these players kind of like hedging their commitments and that sort of thing, decommitting and that. But we'll catch up all things Badgers with our good buddy RJ Cardinal coming up here in about a couple of hours from now. Speaking of which, Badger basketball getting set to take on Dayton tomorrow at 12:30. Battle for Atlantis. This time of year we get those fun tournaments. So those holiday tournaments. The battle for Atlantis field includes BYU, Butler, Kansas, NC State, Tennessee, Dayton, USC, and Wisconsin. And then they've got after this, it's they host Wake Forest on the 29th for the ACC Big Ten Challenge. It's already coming up. That hoop season already in full swing there, baby. Not a lot on the baseball side of things, although Aaron Judge has apparently meeting with the Giants. Oh, look at that. Could it happen? I don't know. We know the Giants, they're reportedly not worried to not a lot of money. He was caught in San Francisco on a video. Said he's just visiting some family and friends. That's about it. But sources say that he is meeting with the Giants. Like, that's no big surprise. He was probably going to take a meeting regardless, but yeah. But otherwise, that's pretty quiet. Pretty quiet surrounding some of the hot stove season in Major League Baseball. It is a Grind My Gears Tuesday. So what's grinding your gears? You can start to hit us up with what's grinding your gears with a quick text, 715-830-1912, or a tweet, Facebook, or a comment on the video stream. We'll do a bench start cut coming up. Maybe next hour we'll hit that up. Also, press pass. What's the big question? What's, like, if you have one question that you could ask anybody or anything that you would get, that you're guaranteed to get a legit answer back to. That's the thing. Like, you would get a legit answer. What question would that be? Who would it be to? It can be in the sports world, kind of focusing on that. But I guess if you got a creative one somewhere else, what would it be? Something relating to Brewers, Packers, and Aaron Rodgers? What do you got? What's your press pass question of the week for this week? So you get to be a member of the press there. All right, let's get things rolling here this morning, though. Let's start off things talking a little Milwaukee Bucks. First month impressions of your Milwaukee Bucks. 12-4, 9-1 at home. Right now, second in the Eastern Conference standings, behind the Boston Celtics by just a half a game. But for the longest time, to begin the season, the Bucks were in that number one spot. Way too early, I get it, to be looking at standings and such, but just kind of give you a gauge of where everything's at. But how would you, what are your first impressions of this Bucks start to the season? The first month. Obviously, there's probably going to be more positives than negatives. But if you do have a negative, if there's a weakness on this team that you have noticed in the first month of the season, what is it? What is it? And what do you think it could maybe kind of be a hindrance possibly to this team? All right, so think about that for a little bit and start hitting me up with your texts and that. And if anybody's got any secrets to fix a throat besides good old-fashioned blackberry brandy, I'm open to anything, because I've tried a bunch of different teas and medicine the last few days, and nothing can knock this thing out. So I'm open to anything. Let's take a quick break. We'll get things started off on that opening drive here this morning. Talking a little Bucks. Hey, if you got any Bucks this past weekend too, don't forget to send those pictures on over. But we'll talk a little Milwaukee Bucks coming up in a couple minutes. Anybody, any soccer fans out there watching or paying attention to the World Cup? Now that it's going on, any big World Cup fanatics out there? Saw that was it Saudi Arabia upset Argentina in one of the biggest upsets in World Cup history. So that's I got that flashing all over the place on the internet right now. So, but any big World Cup fans out there? Anybody kind of paying attention, staying in tune to that thing? Let me know. Let me know your thoughts on it so far. But let's get things rolling here this morning on the opening drive. Talking a little Milwaukee Bucks, as we're about a month into the season right now. So, what are your first month impressions of this Bucks team? Bucks picking up the W last night against the Trailblazers, 119 to 111. We saw Giannis leading the way for the Bucks with 37 points. Pat Connaughton playing 16 minutes, getting 7 points too. Good to see him back on the court, making his debut last night for the Bucks. So got one of those injured players back, still waiting for Chris Middleton and Joe Ingles, but now we got Pat Connaughton back in the 4A, if you know what I mean. So I'm sure his minutes will start to climb up there a little bit more. 16 in his return, but once he gets into a little game shape, probably creep a little bit more to over those about that 20, 22, 24 minutes per game sort of thing. So, but your first impressions, positives, negatives. If you have any negatives with this 12-4 team, let me know. What are your thoughts? I mean, there's a lot of positives we can look at, right? Been pretty dang good at home. 9-1. They've played a lot of games at home to begin their season. 10 of their 16 games all been at home, and the Bucks have been taking care of business at home. 9-1 at home. So that's obviously pretty darn impressive, right? If we want to look at points per game, averaging points per game, Bucks are about middle of the field. If you're looking at it right now, they're just averaging about 111.4 points per game, which the number one team in the league is actually the Sacramento Kings at 121.4. The Boston Celtics are second at 119.4. So, scoring down maybe a little bit for the Bucks in the middle part of the season there. But when you kind of look at some of the other stuff here, when we look at, let's look up defensive numbers, right? Let's look at the defense. So their defensive rating is number one in the league, according to NBA.com. Milwaukee Bucks. Their defensive rating is a 105.3. The second highest is the Clippers. Excuse me, 106.8. That was something that was kind of talked about at the beginning part of this season, where we're going to see a little bit of a different defensive philosophy for this team, maybe highlighting the perimeter defense a little bit more. And right now, I think we've kind of seen that so far, right? We've kind of seen that. And right now, when you look at the defensive ratings, pretty darn good for this Bucks team. If you want to take a look at just the amount of points that they're allowing, they're fourth in the league, 106.9. Dallas, 105.3. Clippers, Philly, Bucks. When you look at rebounds per game, number one, Milwaukee Bucks, 49.5. Memphis is at number 2, 48.2. Blocks per game, that would be your Bucks at 3, excuse me. Brooklyn's 1, 6.9. Indiana, 6.8. Then your Bucks, 6.5. Brook Lopez still leading in blocks per game. And then point differential, Bucks are number 5. So when you look at like the offensive numbers, not a whole lot of times you're going to see Bucks in top 5 categories. I mean, we just did the points per game sort of thing. Bucks 17th. But when you look at the defensive categories, Bucks are up there. Bucks are up. Yeah, even in field goal percentage for this Bucks team, they're towards the bottom. They're at 26, 44.9% they're shooting from the field. Miami's behind them at 44.6, but the other teams, Charlotte, Houston, Detroit. Your top teams, again, Sacramento, 50.2%. Sacramento's shooting 50.2% from the field. Half their shots are going in. Denver is at a 49.3. So if we want to look at some of the weaknesses of this Bucks team, can probably point to the offensive side of things. Field goal percentage, one of the worst in the league. 3-point percentage, they're 22nd in the league. They're shooting 34% from the three. The number one team in the league is the Denver Nuggets at 40.9. Cleveland second at 39.6. Boston third, 39. And yet, with that 22nd ranking in 3-point percentage, the Bucks have attempted the 7th most three-pointers so far. Average 3-point field goals attempted, according to the mothership, ESPN. So now, will those numbers, those field goal or the 3-point percentages, and even the field goal percentage, will they go up with the eventual return of Chris Middleton and the 3-point percentage, especially with Joe Ingles? You would assume so. You would assume so at that point. But if we're looking at the first month impressions of this team, those are probably the couple of negatives that you could point out, right? Kind of going back and forth on this thing, but I mean, positives, we've talked about him a lot. I think you look at a guy like Brook Lopez, who has stepped up nicely to fill in as that third option in the absence of Chris Middleton. He's averaging 16.2 points per game, which is the most in his career so far since 2016, 2017, when he was with Brooklyn, where he was averaging 20.5 points per game. This is the most he's averaged during his time with the Bucks, which I think it kind of catches people off guard. It caught me a little bit off guard. You look at Brook Lopez's numbers. In the early part of his careers, he was close or was at averaging 20 points per game. How many people would realize that about Brook Lopez? I'll raise my hand. I didn't realize he was consistent at that. His second year in the league, 2009-10 season, 18.8 points per game. His rookie year was 08-09. He averaged 13. Third year, 20.4, 19.2, 19.4, 20.7, 17.2, 20.6, 20.5. All those years with the Nets. Then he goes to the Lakers for a year, averages 13. Then he signs up with the Bucks, and we're like, okay, whatever. First year with the Bucks, 12.5. That was 18-19. Then 12, then 12.3. Then last year, 12.4. This year, 16.2. His 3-point percentage is at 39, which is the highest at any point in his career. Rebounds are about the same. Blocks are higher. He's averaging more minutes so far this year. He's at 31 and a half. The last time he averaged more than 30 minutes a game, you got to go back to 2015 to 16 with the Nets, where he got 33.7. So one of the positives is easily Brook Lopez this year. Stepping up nicely to fill in for the loss of Chris Middleton, but also his defensive presence. You know, for a team that has decided to defend the perimeter a little bit more, you got Brook Lopez, who's blocking more shots now too. And then, I mean, you got a guy named Giannis, right? I mean, yeah, dude's averaging 30 points per game, 11.6 rebounds per game, 5.4 assists per game. I mean, he's a dude, right? I mean, come on. What else can you say about Giannis? I will say the one thing that I love about Giannis this year too, because if you look at the updated, stat sheets, he's not in the top 5 for scoring. Kevin Durant's at 30.4, which is 5th best in the league. Giannis is at 30.1. But you know where Giannis does show up in top 5 if you go to NBA.com? Rebounds per game. 5th in rebounding, 11.6. None of those other top 5 in scoring, Luka, Steph, not even Joel Embiid, not KD, none of those other guys show up in top 5 in rebounds. Giannis does. 11.6. Obviously, it helps. Giannis is 6'11", 7 foot, whatever site you look at now to determine. I know that was a kind of a talking point in the offseason. Like, oh, Giannis grew an inch. Whatever. It doesn't matter. Dude's tall, and he's a freak athlete. But he's getting it done on the glass. Getting it done on that end, too. And when you look at his career, he's averaging 11.6, which is the same as last year. 11. I mean, he has consistently been a double-digit rebounder per year since 2017, 2018. And I think that's an underrated part of his game that nobody really focuses on too much. He's like, was it Bill Simmons calls him a unicorn? He's that unicorn player. Well, yeah, we focus on the NBA. A lot of people just tend to focus on who scores the most. And I get it. That's the flashy thing. That's what puts butts in seats and all that. And Giannis does a pretty good job at scoring the basketball, right? Duh. But I think one of the underrated parts of his game that has gone unnoticed has been rebounds and what he's been able to do dishing the ball, his assists. 2 underrated parts, 2 overlooked parts of his game. Because if you look at some of the stuff, if you look at his stat lines, fairly similar to what he's been doing the last couple of years. The one big, I guess, red circle would be free throw percentage. In the first month of the season, 57.5% from the charity stripe. Last year, he got it up to a 72.2. 57.5 ain't going to cut it. You get it up in the 70s, you're at least respectable. You keep it down in those 50s, you're going to see more hack at Giannis. It's just going to happen. You know what's going to happen. That's the big thing. And maybe as the season progresses, continue to get better or more consistent at it. But I think one thing, too, in this early part of the season, one of the questions we had was how many minutes were we going to see Giannis play? Like, he played with his national team in the offseason. A lot of basketball on him, right? Well, you have no Chris Middleton. You have no Pat Connaughton. You have no Joe Ingles. How much do you stress Giannis right away at the beginning part of the season? How much do you put on his shoulders? You look at it, he's averaging 32.8 minutes per game. Okay. Last year, 32.9. Year before that, 33. So they've been getting it done, too, really, without having to tax Giannis. Right? Not having to go out there and put up 40 minutes per game. He's effective whenever he's on that court. Bucks are also, oh, no, that was yesterday. Let's go up season leaders. When you're looking at some of the other stuff up here. Yeah, rebounds per game we went through. Blocks we went through. Just kind of seeing if I missed some other stuff. If anybody knows the other stuff out there, you can go that too. But yeah, I wanted to look up minutes per game, just kind of give you a comparison of other top players and how many minutes per game they're averaging. Just to compare it to how effective Giannis is doing it in just like 32 minutes. So let me bring this up here. Okay. Got it here. I want minutes per game. So Donovan Mitchell with Cleveland is averaging the most minutes per game, 38.2. Fred VanVleet, 37.4. Jason Tatum, 37.2. Luka, 36.9. You have got to go all the way down, down, down to number 51. 51. Giannis is 51st in the league in minutes per game. You're talking about an MVP, one of the best players in the league. And he's averaging the 51st. Is that the proper way to say it? I don't know. But he's averaging 32.8 minutes per game, which is 51st in the league. Bradley Beal's 5th. Kevin Durant's 7th. Devin Booker's 9th. I'm going through some of these names you may recognize. Joel Embiid is 20th. Trae Young, 22. Steph Curry, 25. Yet Giannis is getting it done. If you want to look at the PERS, the player efficiency rating, Giannis right now is at 7th. He was at number 1 for the longest time. The only other player that's kind of comparable to Giannis in minutes played right now is the Joker in Denver, who's at 31.1 minutes per game. Those two are just like to my money, the last winners of the MVP award for what, the last 4 years? Probably 2 out of the 3 best players in the entire league. But to kind of wrap it up a little bit, obviously a whole lot more positives with this first season of the Bucks, right? A whole lot more positives. You'd like to see them get better field goal percentage, shooting the ball. You would expect that to maybe get a little bit. It would improve a little bit with the return of Middleton. You would expect a 3-point shooting percentage to improve a little bit with Joe Ingles whenever he comes back, whether it's going to be in January, December, whatever that time frame is going to be. You would expect that to get a little bit better. Probably not going to be a top 5 or anything like that, but you would expect those numbers to improve with a guy like Middleton coming back. But the positives, we talked about Brook Lopez. We talked about the defense for this team too. Getting it done on the glass, getting it done with shot blocking. The defensive rating, we went through number 1. They've gotten better at defense so far this year. Those are my first month impressions so far. Anything else? Let me know. Hit me up with a text, okay? 715-830-1912. Take a quick break. We'll see what you all have to say. And we'll talk a little green and gold coming up a little bit later on. All right, I got your bench start cut. Actually, giving you two topics. Two topics for bench start cut. I want you to play along. So they're both quarterback related, but a little bit different. So bench start cut. Ready for this? Got a bench one, you got to start one, you got to cut one. Your first group: Jimmy G, Ryan Tannehill, Jared Goff. Okay, all three quarterbacks got wins this past week. Your next group of quarterbacks: Zach Wilson, Mac Jones, and I went back and forth on this final one, but I'm going to go with Trey Lance. I went back and forth between Trey Lance and Justin Fields, but Fields, at least we've seen with the legs, he's pretty dynamic, right? He's pretty dynamic with the legs. So I'm going to go with Trey Lance in this one because it's a little bit more of an unknown. We don't know yet, right? So you got your two groups of bench, start, cut. Jimmy G, Ryan Tannehill, Jared Goff is one group. Your second group: Zach Wilson, Mac Jones, Trey Lance. Bench, start, cut. Who you benching? Who you starting? Who you cutting? All right. So hit me up with your picks on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line, 715-830-1912. You can also hit me up with a quick tweet, Facebook, or comment on the video stream if you'd like to do that over there. So Surveyor Sam, good morning, DK. You know what's still grinding my gears? That the Gophers have the axe. As Wisconsin Badgers, you have one game that rises above all. That is taking home the axe. Beat the crap out of them this year. No one holds back. It's axe week, baby. That's what's grinding Surveyor's gears. That's right. It is a Grind My Gears Tuesday, too. So what else is grinding your gears for the rest of you? You can send those babies on over, too. Okay? You can send those babies on over, too. So looking through some of the other texts, a lot of you also chiming in with the Bucks first month impressions. A lot of the same stuff. Kind of like a thumbs up, thumbs down sort of thing. Thumbs up, it's Brooke Lopez, it's the defense. Thumbs down, a lot of you saying 3-point shooting. A couple of you noting also Giannis's free throw percentage. You know, at what point in somebody's career who's, been in the league for a while where you're just like, that's who they are when it comes to like free throws. Like that's who they are. I'll be curious if we had a research department, Surveyor, like who made the biggest jump in terms of free throw percentages from like a certain point into their career to like maybe the second half in their career where they were just like god awful. Like 50, 60% from the charity stripe. But they somehow improved it by like 15, 20 percentage points consistently. You know what I mean? Like not just a one-off, not like a one-year wonder where they were like, like career-wise 60, 68. Then one year they shot 85. I'm looking at like consistently like made that huge jump. If we have a volunteer research department out there to go look that up and find me somebody who made that huge jump and consistently improved that, let me know. Because at what point when we get to we talk about free throws, right? It's nonstop. It's charity stripe. You got to make your free throws. But at what point do we just go like you shrug your shoulders and you're like, that's who they are. That's what they do. That's their game. I mean, I think I would be happy if Giannis was like consistently in the 70s. Just that, a little bit respectable out there where it's like, it's not like Hack-a-Shack where it's like almost automatic. You're probably going to get 1 out of 2 or maybe 0 for 2. But if anybody wants to go down that path and do a little research, I'm all about it. Let me know. I'm curious to know if there has been maybe multiple people that have made big strides. We know people who've done it like 3-point percentage and field goal percentage, but I'm curious about free throw percentage. That's the big one there. So, all right. Coming up next hour, we'll talk a little green and gold. again, there's kind of had like a mini bye week here, if you will. So it sounds like Aaron kind of confided that he does have a broken thumb. That could be affecting his season so far this year. Been seeing a lot of weird, a lot of weird throws, a lot of off throws, a lot of inaccurate throws. Kind of pointing as a thumb, is the thumb being a bigger issue? All right, it's broken. So at what point do we see that IR stint, quote unquote? Will we see that, quote, IR stint? We'll get to that coming up in the next hour. Hey, Morgs.
Hey, welcome in. How was the time in the woods?
It was okay.
Yeah?
Yeah, filled the freezer, so we're
You
good.
did. I didn't see pictures. Did you post?
Well, I've been battling a 101 fever. And sore throat
Buck
and cough.
fever?
Yeah, that.
All right.
Exactly. But no, just dough. So
well, good size?
I did a Kobe or Jordan.
Okay.
I was sitting in the stand Sunday freezing.
Oh, yeah.
Sicker than a dog.
How long did you stay out for? Because it was cold opener.
About 10 to 11 hours each day.
Did you sit there?
Yeah.
So what's your trick to stay warm before we get to the star moves here?
We have old school little gas heaters.
Okay. So you're bringing some heat with you.
Yeah.
You're not just relying on the old.
Sunday I did it.
It was still cold Sunday.
Yeah. I moved to a different stand on Sunday. So it was like 3 o'clock and I was sick and tired of freezing and shaking.
So what was your all-star move?
So I called them over, or I saw a couple of them. I'm like, you know what? I'm calling game. Pow. Got it. Went to bed at 6 o'clock.
You just cleaned up.
Yep.
You decided that was it. You were waiting.
I'm done.
So you're no more tickets to fill?
I got a buck tag. I'll go if I'm feeling better.
Yeah. Do you think that sitting out in the cold, like the old wives' tale, made you feel worse?
I don't think it made me feel worse.
No. So, what was the highlight of your wood experience? Did you hear anything? Any epiphanies? No. Just trying not to die up there, apparently.
Pretty
when
much,
you're okay.
Yeah, that was it. Because those are the only deer I saw. I didn't see anything opening day.
So, is it just because you're too stubborn not to go out opening day, even if you're not feeling good?
Well, it only comes once a year.
Okay.
You know, the weekend. So I got to fill the freezer.
My niece got her first doe this weekend too. So she sat out there and she loves it so much that she sat out there even after she had gotten her deer, just sitting with dad, no matter how cold it is, doing that too. You think Hutsy's going to be a hunter when he gets a little bit older?
You know, I talked to him a little bit about the other day. He's at that stage where he doesn't want to hurt animals.
Oh, sure.
That sort of thing, which I understand.
Yeah.
And I don't want to push that.
That's where you cut Bambi off early.
Yeah.
You don't need to watch the end of Old Yeller, buddy. Trust me, go up to bed.
He's big into, that, so I'm not going to push, that sort of stuff.
Well, now that your freezer's full and dad did the hard work of killing, what's your go-to recipe for venison? Because I have one.
Oh.
And it's kind of a surprise secret recipe that I always tell people it's really good. Do you have something you go to once you start unpacking that freezer?
Not really. No.
So here's what you do. And it's not me because I'm terrible in the kitchen.
I've seen some of your recipes.
It's not me. No. It has everything to do. It's my sister. She actually does it. You take ground venison, right?
Mm-hmm.
Use it in lasagna.
Okay. Yeah.
It's so good. Just like make your traditional, whatever your own personal favorite is for cheeses and whatever in lasagna, but use venison meat. For some reason, it's bang up. Like it's super good.
So like venison hamburger?
Yeah. Get it ground up. Yeah. Are you doing jerky this year?
Yeah, probably. We're going to can some and the usual tenderloins and that sort of stuff. So
nice. And,
not done yet though.
No.
Like Aaron said a couple weeks ago, not dead yet.
Okay. I know he says thumb and all that. But really, is that what's causing him to also pass the buck? Because that seems to be what he's doing a lot here, too.
Passing the buck?
I think he kind of is. It doesn't seem like he's taking a lot of ownership over those stank throws.
Okay.
I don't think it's necessarily fair to start calling around. Hey?
Second hour kicking off. Dan Kasper Show is on the air. Appreciate you tuning in wherever, however you may be tuning in on this fine Tuesday morning of November 22nd. Thanks for bearing with me with the voice kind of coming in and out here a little bit. But hunters, if you've had any luck, don't forget, send those pics on over so we can put them up on our trophy board. Best of luck if you're still going out there. Be safe, have fun, make some memories, make some good stories. Coming up here, we'll talk a little green and gold. Next hour, we'll talk some Badgers, Axe Week. We got Battle for Atlantis for Badger Hoops. So we'll catch up on all that. We're taking your first month impressions on the Milwaukee Bucks. You can send those babies on over as well. Surveyor Sam, you're going to have to let your current employer know that you're going to be volunteering your time Monday through Friday, 6A to 9A, to be my assistant here on this morning. Surveyor looked it up. He did the research for me. Magic Johnson started his career as a 76% shooter from the stripe, ending it at 91.1. Tim Duncan started at 58%, and by the end shot 83. Chris Webber started at 58%, ended his career as a 70% shooter. Blake Griffin, similar, 52% to 72%. Fantastic stuff, Surveyor. You were hired as a volunteer basis, so let your current employer know that you'll be unavailable from 6A to 9A. We can negotiate something there. That's good info. That's some good nuggets right there. I love it. All right, Giannis. Pick it up, baby. So, all right. I like it. Let's do some sports nuggets of the day here this morning. 1910, Arthur F. Knight patented a steel shaft to replace wood shafts in golf clubs. There you go. Hey, speaking of golf, shout out to Century World in the USGA. Got a sweet hat. Came in on my desk this morning. There's a box from the Senior Open. Open it up. Nice little stocking cap in there. So big thanks to Century World and the USGA for sending that thing on over for the Senior Open. Going to be over there at Stevens Point next year. What else do we got here? The NHL was officially formed in Montreal in 1917. 1950, the lowest scoring game in the NBA was played. The Fort Wayne Pistons, later the Detroit Pistons, defeated the Minneapolis Lakers, who we know became the Los Angeles Lakers, 19-18. That was in 1950. 1986, Mike Tyson became the youngest to win the World Heavyweight Boxing crown. He was only 20 years and 4 months old. 2003, in Edmonton, Alberta, the Montreal Canadiens beat the Edmonton Oilers 4-3 in the first NHL game to be played outside. 2006, Tiger Woods won his 7th straight PGA Grand Slam. In 2016, it was announced that the NHL expansion team in Las Vegas would be named the Vegas Golden Knights. Those are just some of your sports nuggets for this morning. Excuse me. All right. Just saw this pop up too. In case you're wondering what the current NFL draft order would look like, Packers would hold the 12th overall pick at this point. Texans number 1. Panthers, Bears, Raiders, Seahawks from the Denver Broncos. Lions 6 from the Rams. Look at those trades right now. Seahawks and Lions. Because of the Ram season, Lions right now have 2 picks in the top 13. Seahawks got that pick from Denver. Ooh, yeah. They're looking pretty darn good at this point. Gotta love it, huh? Never know what's going to happen with these trades, how they're going to work out for either side of those teams. If you're looking at the schedule for this week, for the green and gold, off day today. This is according to Rob Domofsky. No access for the media. Wednesday, practice, locker room, Matt LaFleur will talk. Kind of back to like a normal week starting tomorrow. So got that Sunday night game against Philadelphia. coming up here. Sunday Night Football, Philadelphia squeaking out a victory against the Colts. The Jeff Saturday-led Colts this past weekend. There was somebody, we mentioned it a little bit earlier, but a question that's kind of been floated out there. Aaron Rodgers' thumb. Now, Aaron, he's alluded to it, but he's never admitted to anything about it. He hasn't really used it as an excuse. Quote, give me a quote where he has. But like he hasn't said it's broken, it's what's affecting my throws and all that sort of stuff. He's mentioned like, yeah, it's bothering him and that sort of thing. But he was with somebody for a Make-A-Wish event. And this person asked him during his Make-A-Wish events how his thumb was. And he replied that his thumb is actually broken. And it's still swelled and bruised up. So kind of know now if that's on the up and up. We know exactly what the injury is then. It's that broken thumb on his throwing hand. Now, how much of it is actually affecting his play or not? Who knows? Is it the cause of his up and down play this year? Maybe. Who knows? I don't know. It's been kind of varying degrees ever since then, right? Been up and down. Now, I don't see Green Bay benching him unless a couple of things. They get to the last couple of games of the season, they're mathematically out of it. They're out of a playoff spot. They can't get into it. They put him on that IR for a broken thumb or for a thumb injury. And they give a couple of starts to Jordan Love. But I almost feel like, too, if they do that, I feel like they believe he's coming back maybe next year. Because I don't think they would, nor do I think Aaron would want to end his career on the injured reserve. He'd probably want to go out with a little bit of a swan song. Final 2 games are at Lambeau Field. Final 2 games to play in front of the home crowd. To say your goodbyes, to tip your caps. Thank you for a good career. Thank you for the memories. That sort of thing. So I think it's going to be worth watching in the next couple of weeks here. Especially if Green Bay does get out of playoff contention, mathematically are eliminated, or it's like really impossible to get back in the contention. What the plan is going to be then, because I don't see them putting him on IR, and that's his career. His career's done. No swan song, no big goodbye, no, standing ovation as he's walking off Lambeau Field or anything like that. But if they do put him on IR, I'm like, oh, okay, then you get a little Jordan Love. You kind of go out there. Maybe you see what you got in him. Maybe you pick up that 5th-year option then. Maybe it increases trade. There's a bunch of different ways we could go about this thing. So it's going to be worth watching, I think, in the next couple weeks, how these games play out. Philadelphia, Chicago. Then you got that late bye week. And that Rams game on Monday night. For what it's worth, I know this is a few days old. I think it was Friday afternoon. Yeah, it was been the day after the Titans game. Matt LaFleur did admit he's kind of second guessing now about taking that late bye week, not taking the bye after that London game. Hindsight's 20/20 at this point, but yeah. Oh, and another thing too. So you look at Denver. Their defensive coordinator was a finalist for the Packers defensive coordinator job. Evero, young coach, came over also from the Rams, I believe. He was like a finalist along with Leonard and Joe Barry. Nathaniel Hackett, he gets the job in Denver, hires over there, and he's doing a fantastic job with the Denver Broncos. A Vic Fangio kind of disciple too, kind of replacing Vic Fangio over there. Now it's like everybody's kind of looking at this and be like, dude, hindsight again, 2020, but what the heck? And LaFleur, during his presser on Friday, voicing his frustration about defensive, the defensive secondary, not even being around the guys when they make their plays. He doesn't have an issue about, the contested catches, if you will. But it's the fact that a lot of these players are blown coverages. We were talking about that on Friday with these blown coverages. But he said it's the instances in which nobody is near the pass catcher that are irking him the most. So is that communication in the back end? Is that communication on the defense between the players on the field? Or is it the scheme? Is it the play call? It's a little bit of both. That's the easy answer, right? Oh, it's a little bit of both. All right, but where does the responsibility lie then? I mean, you got guys on the field that are veterans, and you're still having issues with miscommunication. There's got to be more to it than that. It's just, we could see possibly, I think at least we have to look at it, Matt LaFleur's third defensive coordinator when we will put up the 2023 season. I know I mentioned it late last week. It's something similar to maybe like Sean Payton when he went through that run of different defensive coordinators. Was it Rob Ryan, Steve Spagnuolo? Then he finally settled on Dennis Allen. Could already be like third one here. And if that's going to be the case, please, for the love of all that is good, make a run at Vic Fangio. Make a run for him. Go get him. If you're going to, I'm all on board making a move. Change it up. Change it up. Go get Vic Fangio. There is something going on with this defense, and maybe it's what they're being taught. The players are being taught on. I don't know. But it's infuriating to see some of that play on that field. I mean, you should be feeling pretty damn good if you get a team into a situation where it's 3rd and 9. 3rd and 9. You should be feeling pretty damn good that you're going to get off that field. And when teams are consistently picking up first downs on 3rd and 9, good Lord. What the heck? What are we doing? Frustrating. There's my grind my gears Tuesday. Want to go about it? That's my grind my gears Tuesday. Right there. Go get Vic Fangio. I know there was like some Packers fans, I think earlier in the year, saying Mike Zimmer. If you go get Mike Zimmer, then you're going to have to give it a couple years because you have to completely get in new personnel. You're talking switching up from a 3-4 to a 4-3, which means you're putting Rashawn Gary in a different position. Will he be as effective? You're putting Preston Smith in a different position. Will he be as effective? So you're going to have to rebuild that thing for 2 to 3 years. You're going to have to. That's the facts. You're willing to do that. And you might have to move on from certain guys. I mean, Rashawn Gary is not a defensive end. He's an edge rusher. He's an outside linebacker. Can he play a 4-3 outside linebacker? I don't know. I don't think so. So, for anybody who wants a guy like Mike Zimmer out there, you're going to have to retool the whole thing, and it might take a couple of years. Go give me a Vic Fangio where everywhere he goes, he freaking has success. Doesn't matter. Denver, San Francisco, Chicago. That's who I want. You know what? You spent a lot of money on Rich Bisaccia in the offseason. Go spend some more money on a proven defensive coordinator, for crying out loud. That's who I want. Not Mike Zimmer. All right, let's take a quick break. We'll talk a little bit more green and gold after these quick words. What's grinding your gears? Hit us up with a text, 715-830-1912. It's the best holiday ever, brought to you by the radio stations of Midwest Family Eau Claire. We're giving you tons of ways to have the best holiday ever, from Christmas music streams, local events, contests, and ways you can help give others a great holiday. Just head to aroundthe715.com for more information, or sportstalk1051.com and click on the link that we got up there. But you can enter to win some local gift cards. You can nominate someone to win a tree. How about win a half a hog and a chest freezer? Hunters, you probably might need a bigger chest for all the deer that you're getting to there. Rockfest tickets, Country Jam tickets. Heck, you could even enter to win some Taylor Swift tickets and not have to spend $34,000 or whatever they're going for on the secondary market. I saw that image on Facebook or Twitter the other day. But holiday blogs are up there too. Big thanks to our sponsors, Shook Family Dental, Savita, TF Exteriors, EC Moving and Storage, and our good friends over there at Hy-Vee. It is the best holiday ever. Again, around the 715.com, or you can visit sportstalk1051.com. Click on the link over there too. And again, I know it was last Thursday. Big thanks to everybody for the Man Cave Light launch party. Friday, my beer peeps told me they had to go Friday morning and fill them back up because they were out already on after Thursday. So big thanks for everybody over there getting out there and grabbing themselves some Man Cave Lights, and for everybody taking them out to the to deer cabin and all that good stuff too. So G-Man, by the way, if you're listening, G-Man, how'd your dad do for opening day for 72 years in a row? Opening day? G-Man, let me know. All right, let's talk some more green and gold here this morning. We've got Joe DeGuano on this morning. How you doing, Joe?
I'm excellent, sir. And how was the hunt for you?
It was okay. We got a doe. I was still a little under the weather, 101-degree fever both days, but we're battling through it, man. We're good. We're battling through like an Aaron Rodgers broken thumb, baby.
Well, you're a gamer, Captain Dan. You are a gamer.
I think I'm performing a little bit better than Aaron Rodgers' broken thumb at this point too, but enough about me.
I think you are. I totally agree.
So I mean, that's kind of the thing that's being floated out there with this broken thumb, and when do you put them, when do you sit them, Jordan Love and all that sort. I got a theory, Joe. Tell me how wrong I am on this. So,
all right,
I think if at some point they put Aaron Rodgers on IR, they know he's coming back next year, because you don't put baby in the corner. You don't put him on IR and not let him have his swan song and last two games at home, his goodbyes and all that sort of thing. So if they put him on IR, I feel like they know he's coming back next year. If they don't put him on IR, I feel like they're going to give him his swan song and he's saying bye, all that sort of stuff. Your thoughts?
You know what? I like the IR thought, but I've said it all along. I think regardless of IR or not, I think Aaron Rodgers is coming back, and here are a couple of reasons. First and foremost, $100 million guaranteed over the next couple of years, and so that's the first thing. But secondly, Aaron Rodgers has always said and always claimed that he wanted to be the best quarterback to ever play for the Green Bay Packers. And look, Bart Starr's got the 2 Super Bowl rings. I don't think that's going to happen this year. But Aaron Rodgers is about 40 touchdowns away from being better than Brett Favre. And so I think Aaron Rodgers wants to throw more touchdown passes than Brett Favre. And again, I get it. He's got the Packer record, et cetera, et cetera. Aaron Rodgers has also said he wants to play till 40. And so I look at this, and I think he's playing next year for sure. And then we're going to know next spring what 2024 brings, because that's when the Packers have to sign Jordan Love that 5th-year guarantee of $20 million. So I like your theory, but I think he's coming back regardless.
I hope so. So are you? What would you do though if you could control everything? Not anything like. What would you do if you were Matt LaFleur right now and you didn't have to worry about any flack or feedback or anything like that? From a performance standpoint, what would you do right now if you were a coach? Would you bench Aaron, put him on IR, put Jordan Love in there at any point? What would you do?
Well, here's a couple of things. First of all, statistics don't tell the whole story, but Aaron Rodgers is second in the NFC in completions, second in the NFC in yards, and first in touchdown passes. And again, I get it. Statistics don't mean anything because we see what we see on the field, and so does LaFleur. I think what's going to happen is once Green Bay is mathematically eliminated, I think Jordan Love gets to play. And I think Green Bay knows exactly what they have in Jordan Love, good or bad. But I think you put him in at that point, and I think it becomes the let's see what this guy can do for other teams.
Interesting. So you think even if they bench Aaron, or I suppose, do you think if they bench Aaron though, Joe, they can go back to him next year?
I don't think it's going to be a benching. It's not like they're going to pull him from a game. Once they're mathematically eliminated, I see them giving Jordan Love a start.
Interesting. Okay, Joe DeGuano joining us here this morning, chatting a little green and gold. Going back to Friday, Matt LaFleur talked a little bit about what's infuriating him the most about his defenses, not the contested catches, but it's the busted coverages or the guys are like nowhere near receivers who are catching the ball at like when it's 3rd and 9 and they're catching the ball at 10 yards at that point. Is that miscommunication from the players on the field? Is that coaching? Is a little bit of both? I mean, I look at that defense, Joe, and I see veteran players on there. So if it's miscommunication, well, then is that still the coach's responsibility? Who's blame? Who gets the most blame in that part?
Well, look, I think the coaching staff has to get the blame, but it is the players kind of going out and going rogue. And I think LaFleur kind of intimated to this that you said you've got one guy on every play that's breaking down the coverage fundamentals, if you will. And so I think it's funny, but it's going to go back to coaching, though. And I think right now there's some dissatisfaction with some of these players with Joe Barry's scheme, and I think that they're just trying to go out there and go rogue and go a little man on their own or whatever the case may be. So it's a combination of both. But I think Joe Barry at this point has to be the fall guy.
So what kind of move would you make for next year? I know we've got some Packers fans saying Mike Zimmer. If that were going to be the case, where they're going to make a move, I'm banging the table for a guy like Vic Fangio who's available. If you could pick somebody who would like, Matt LaFleur went out and spent a boatload of money for Rich Bisaccia. If you were to do the same thing for defensive coordinator next year, who would be on your list?
A name that intrigues me is Brian Flores. I think that would be a guy that I would welcome, and I think that LaFleur needs to get somebody with experience, and I think Flores would be the kind of guy that this team would rally around. And again, I think Fangio's a good choice. There's a lot of good guys available out there, but like I said, I'd make that phone call to Brian Flores and see where his interest is.
Interesting. I didn't even think of Brian Flores, who's right now with the Pittsburgh Steelers over there. So, all right, we got the Eagles, the one-loss Eagles coming up on Sunday night. If the Packers were to somehow win this game, Joseph, what do they got to do to come away with a victory against the top-seeded Eagles?
Well, the recipe for success was the Cowboy game, and they've got to get a running game going, and then take shots downfield when they can, playing out play action. But if this team were at Lambeau, I'd say I could see Green Bay coming up with the upset. I just don't see them coming up with the upset against Philadelphia in Philadelphia Sunday Night Football. And so, the recipe for this team for the rest of the year really was laid out in that Cowboy game. They got some stops on 3rd down. They got the defense off the field. Rudy Ford with a couple of interceptions. The running game was potent, and the deep shots were there. And so I think that's the recipe for every game now for the rest of this year, because the running game for the Green Bay Packers is the strength of this offense.
When we look at the second half of this Packers season thus far, has the main thing or the brightest part of the second half so far been the emergence of Christian Watson and his 5 touchdown catches in the past couple of weeks? I mean, just how much has Christian Watson, what we've seen these last couple of weeks, really impressed you? How much has it impressed you?
Well, I think it's impressed a lot. And I think the bottom line with Watson is he's getting opportunities. And you could see the confidence growing, and you could see the natural athletic ability. And so you could see a lot of those things. I am actually really encouraged about a lot of players from this draft class, because you've seen Zach Tom step in and play multiple positions at that offensive line. Romeo Dobbs for the high ankle sprain. Quay Walker over the last couple of weeks. I think you're seeing a player who is the game is slowing down for. I think Enikbari is playing well as that 3-4 backer. And so, yeah, there's a lot of good things that you can pull from. And at this point, when you don't think you have a shot for the season, you've got to look at individual growth. And I think this draft class is showing it.
Mm-hmm. It was last Friday, I think it was. I found a Pro Football Talk post back on 2016, and it was actually they were kind of recapping a article by Tom Silverstein in the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel, where they talked about Devontae Adams in danger of not making the roster for the Packers, battling for their lives, and just reading some of the comments from Packers fans on there, wanting Jared Abbrederis over Devontae Adams and you know, Jeff Janis and Ty Montgomery and all that sort of stuff. And it's like, again, here's an example, people. We, you know, because I was seeing people on Christian Watson already saying he doesn't have the body for the NFL. You know, he gets hurt too much, this, that, the other thing. And it's like, wasn't that long ago, people wanted Devontae out and Ty Montgomery and Jared Abbrederis on the team in front of them.
Yeah, well, look, that's the thing. You did that very well, especially his second season. He struggled. He struggled catching the ball. You look back, James had those struggles. I mean, it is not easy to step into that position, especially when you've got a quarterback like Aaron Rodgers.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, Packer fans have a very short memory. And looking back at it, those same Packer fans today that are bemoaning the fact that Devontae Adams is gone was probably the same fans that were wishing he was gone back in 2016.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's some good flashes. Like I said, I think at this point in time of the season, you've got to look at individual performances and can you build on some guys. And I think, again, some of these younger guys, especially from the draft class, I think Green Bay has some real fun.
All right, Joseph. So I know you kind of already mentioned it, but what's your prediction for the game on Sunday Night Football? Like, how do you see it playing out? You went through your keys to victory and that sort of thing. What do you got for a score for me?
Being close in the first half, but I see Philadelphia winning this.
Mm-hmm. So that'll be a 4-8 season going to Chicago against Justin Fields, who looks like one of the best running backs in the league right now at that point. Yeah, I agree with you. All right, Joseph. Before I let you go, your power rankings on your Thanksgiving dinner plate, your top three. What are you going with? You get, yeah, absolutely. Okay. Okay. So turkey, mashed potatoes, and green bean casserole. Your top three. All right. I like it. I'm gonna have to try those mashed potatoes once. Gonna have to try them. Okay. Ooh. Ooh. That's a tall task. I like it. Exactly. I like it. I like it. We're gonna have to do a little taste test coming up here. So, all right. Well, Joseph, you have a fantastic Thanksgiving with your family, buddy, and we'll catch up with you again next week. Okay. You got it. There you go. There's Joe DeGuado joining us here for a little bit this morning. We got to take a quick break and finish up the second hour. Let's finish up the second hour with a little bench start cut. Okay. We got your two groups. Your two groups. We're giving you two bench start cuts. First group, Jimmy G, Ryan Tannehill, Jared Goff. Who you benching, who you starting, who you cutting. All three quarterbacks picking up wins this past weekend. Your second group, Zach Wilson, who might get benched. Mac Jones, who knows what the heck's going on with him. And Trey Lance, we don't know anything about Trey Lance yet. Bench start cut. Zach Wilson, Mac Jones, Trey Lance. Who you riding with? A little fun one here this morning. Got two of them. So we'll get to that. Then we'll do a little press pass at some point next hour. All right. Quick break. Then we'll finish up the second hour after these few words. All right, here we go. We gave you the two options for bench, start, cut. It's time to make some selections. So the first group, Jimmy G, Ryan Tannehill, Jared Goff. So Jimmy G, we all know the backstory, right? Got off-season shoulder surgery, couldn't find, or at least San Francisco now willing to find a trade partner. Rumors were Washington wanted him, but then scared off with the shoulder injury. Then they went and got Carson Wentz. He's been kind of up and down this year, but had a great game last night. Ryan Tannehill, I mean, the Packers defense made him look like an all-pro, but there was questions about his future here. And Malik Willis drafted him in the third round. Jared Goff, is he a long-term fixture with the Detroit Lions? Well, all three of those quarterbacks got wins this past weekend. So if you had to bench one, you had to start one, and you had to cut one, who are you rolling with? I think I would start Jimmy G. Oh. See, Jimmy G and Jared Goff at least played in 2 Super Bowls, or at least played in a Super Bowl each. So they got that going for them, which is nice. I think I'd still start Jimmy G, although I don't think he has the best physical tools out of all those quarterbacks. Giving a little bit of an advantage to the experience, I guess. I think I might bench Jared Goff and cut Ryan Tannehill. Just because I feel like Ryan Tannehill might be susceptible to more mistakes than Goff. But Jimmy G's none of these quarterbacks. I'd still be a little bit nervous if these 3 quarterbacks were my starters. They're not all pros by any means, but yeah, I think I would stick with Jimmy G. Jimmy G is my starter. Jared Goff on the bench. Ryan Tannehill cut. I think I might go that route. Packers defense made him look like an all-pro. Well, receivers were always freaking open. The next one, Zach Wilson. You've got Mac Jones, Trey Lance. I thought about putting Justin Fields. I was going back and forth between Justin Fields and Trey Lance in this one, but I feel like the majority would have gone with Justin Fields anyways because he's at least shown he's dynamic running the football, using his legs. So going with Trey Lance because it's still a little bit of an unknown with him. But if you had to pick right now, who would you bench? Who would you start? Who would you cut? I think I would, even with all that uncertainty, I think I would still start Trey Lance. I would bench Mac Jones, and I would cut Zach Wilson. I think that's how I'd even with the uncertainty, I think I'd still go with Trey Lance as my starter because you have a little bit more of a arrow trending upward-ish, if you know what I mean. Like, you kind of know at least a little bit what to, I should say not know, but at least there's a little bit more athleticism with Trey Lance. I mean, maybe he's like a Justin Fields, but we've seen a lot from Zach Wilson now. And you look at this last game against the Patriots and such. I mean, now you got Robert Saleh kind of saying it might be an open quarterback battle or position. A lot of frustration with that Jets quarterback play. And then you got Mac Jones. I mean, is he a long-term future starter with the Patriots? Who knows? But if I had to pick, if I'm picking between these three, Trey Lance is my starter, Mac Jones is my bench, and I'm cutting Zach Wilson. That's kind of how I think I would play it out. That's my bench start cut. You can play along, make your picks by hitting me up with a text 715-830-1912, or hit me up on Twitter at DANKASPER, Facebook.com/Kasper Sports. As we finish up this second hour, I'll throw a little baseball talk in. The Hall of Fame ballots, the 2023 Baseball Writers Association Hall of Fame ballot. It was revealed. The National Baseball Hall of Fame revealed it. With several names appearing for the first time as well as returning candidates hoping to continue trending towards possible enshrinement. We've got Carlos Beltran, who appears on the ballot for the first time. K-Rod, Francisco Rodriguez, on for the first time. Also, we've got, remember R.A. Dickey? Kind of forgot about him a little bit there. Remember Bronson Arroyo, too? He's on there, too. J.J. Hardy's on there. All right. He ain't making it, but, hey, former Brewer. Got to give him a little bit of a note on there, too, right? So, but I'm just kind of looking at some of these players. I was reading a little bit from Jason Stark. Because remember, there's no more Bonds, Clemens, Schilling on there, right? Because they're off that one. But God, I don't know. Like looking at the first timers, is Carlos Beltran like a first ballot Hall of Famer? I don't think so. I don't think he is, and I don't think. Oh, K-Rod's going to be interesting. I don't think he'll make. I could be completely wrong. Baseball Hall of Fame has kind of surprised me a little bit the last couple of years, but I don't think he'll be a first ballot. 437 career saves, 4 all time. Mariano Rivera, Trevor Hoffman, Lee Smith. He holds a single season with 62. Scott Rowland, he might have the most momentum to get in this thing. Last year, he finished with 63.2%. I mean, he has jumped up every year. Now you look at the ballot this year, Scott Rowland, I'd say he's probably got a decent chance to make the Hall of Fame. But when you look at the other ones, you got Todd Helton, who had 52%. Bobby Wagner had 51%. Will they make a big enough jump to get in? I don't know. It might be another year there. It's maybe just one. We've seen years where there haven't been anybody elected in there too. So, but yeah, ballot was revealed yesterday. So get ready for baseball writers to kind of post their ballots in the coming days and weeks and months and make their cases of why they voted and that sort of thing. But remember, no Bonds, no Clemens, no Schillings. They will all be considered for the Hall of Fame class of 2023 by the Contemporary Baseball Era Players Committee. The trio is part of an 8-man ballot that was released earlier this month, along with the likes of Albert Bell, Don Mattingly, Fred McGriff, Dale Murphy, and Rafael Palmeiro. The ballot features candidates whose primary contribution to baseball came in 1980 or later. So we'll see if maybe they get in at that point, right? So, all right, coming up next hour, we're going to talk some Badgers with RJ Cardinal. We'll talk a little Axe Week going up against Minnesota Badger football, bowl eligible. Does that guarantee a Jimmy Leonard head coach? Can we just give Jimmy Leonard the dang job now? Can we post it and give him the job? What's going on there? Battle for Atlantis for the Badger men's hoops team. Talk a little bit about that. Talk a little hockey with him as well. Catch up on all things Badgers with Mr. R.J. Cardinal from the Zone in Madison. So we'll get to that about 8:20 or so. But we're still taking your what's grinding your gears on this Tuesday morning. Send over your bench start cuts. Looks like the majority of you for the first two going with Jimmy G as your starter. A little bit back and forth between Ryan Tannehill and Jared Goff on who you're benching or who you're cutting. For the younger quarterbacks, if you will, looks like the majority are also going with Trey Lance and Mac Jones to the bench. And Zach Wilson cut. All right. Rest of you, let's keep texting those babies on over, all right? Keep texting your picks on over. 715-830-1912 on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line. We'll be right back. All right, final hour kicking off on this Tuesday morning of Thanksgiving week. Appreciate you all tuning in wherever and however you may be tuning in. Radio dials, couple of those online, sportstalk1051.com, the YouTube, Facebook, Twitter streams. Got the app, your Google and Alexa home devices. We'll catch up on some Badger talk with RJ Cardinal in just a little bit here, but we kick things off on this Tuesday like we usually do, catching up with our good friends from the Chippewa Steel. And speaking of Badgers, Coach Casey, you've got a player that committed to the Badger hockey program. That's got to be, as a coach, do you feel like I'm not trying to downplay it, but like a proud dad almost sort of thing? Like you're seeing these kids because they're chasing their dreams, right?
Yeah.
And to get to a Division I program at Wisconsin, all that. What was your emotions like? Kind of going.
Yeah, I mean, it was really excited for Joey and his family. They took a little bit of a risk, with him leaving high school to come and play here, and you never know how that's gonna turn out, right? So, you look at it now, and it's 10 weeks later, and he's got a college scholarship to University of Wisconsin. So, pretty cool.
Yeah.
I think it's the first of, I'm hopeful for sure a few more, if not quite a few more for our group. So yeah, it's exciting times. It's and like you said, I mean, it's Big Ten. I mean, where else could you want to go and play
Right.
hockey, right? So it's really cool.
Yeah, it absolutely is. I mean, you're looking at some of your players now, and I know you mentioned him on your social media the other day, but Peyton Platter too, who's off to is playing extremely well. I think you said something like coming out party, something like that on Twitter. But
yeah, no, he's been, it's these guys, like, they all come from wherever they've been playing, and they're the best players on their team, right? And they produce offensively, and they score every night, and then they get here, and it's a little different. It's hard. It's hard to score. And some guys don't handle that very well, like not scoring every night. That's just what they're used to. But he's the type of kid that, his game is really mature. He's a great center iceman, and super reliable and responsible for us, early on in his career. And now to have him see some pucks go in the net, is that confidence that you sometimes need to now really kind of go forward and then continue to be the producer that you've been your whole life, right? But it's just there's a lot of things that are going on that you're not used to having to do before. So it takes time. It's usually it's a Halloween, Thanksgiving, kind of Christmas, that's kind of the barometer for some of these first year kids to see, like, okay, when is it really going to start to click? And hopefully for him, it's happening right now.
Right. So it's, this past weekend too, you split, but it was a thrill, overtime, the first one, but then you came back and got the victory. So again, you look at the standings, and we were talking a little bit about it with Kyle and with you in the previous weeks. It's still tight at the top, and then the first half.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, it's every weekend is, you're kind of going up or going down, and but you're never, too far out of it. And, for us, 3 of 4 is a great weekend, right?
Yep.
We're still, I think Friday night we were a little bit slow to start, spotting some teams, some goals, and eventually we get to our game, but we're still trying to figure out that start to be, to not dig a hole, right? Just to get into the game a little bit quicker. And I was talking to somebody earlier, we typically get to our game, at some point. It's just how long does it take, and what's the score when we do. But the one thing I will say that, our staff we're really proud of is that we don't quit. There's no quit. Like this group doesn't quit. We battle till the end every night. And that's a good trait to have. So we battle back at the 1 point, and then kind of a fluky bounce in overtime that they got the winner. But yeah, and then Saturday night we played a pretty solid 60 minutes.
And you raised a lot of money for a good cause too. You were telling me a little bit off the air with the veterans, the amount of money you raised, and the awesome looking jerseys you guys had on there too.
Yeah,
Tell
it
us
was
a
a
little bit
it was a
about that.
great night. I think Kyle was telling me that our final total is like $7,200 going to the veterans to home. So, just a great night for us to be able to be a part of that and contribute to them and what they do for us and have done for our country. And it's just awesome to be a part of. And the jerseys were cool. I mean, they're really sharp looking. And I think we're actually 3-0 in our jersey auction nights. So
Nice.
over the 2 years. So I don't know if that's going to have to be a little bit more of a
I was gonna
staple
say,
for us,
yeah,
but
right.
no, I mean, we've won some games on the jersey auction nights, which is always great, and
Yep.
it's good for the auction, right? So it's
Exactly.
everyone's excited, and but yeah, it was funny. I was thinking about that the other day.
So you got a game tomorrow night, right?
Correct.
You got
Yep.
to get, so it's a little bit different with Thanksgiving this week here, but you got a game tomorrow night, and then you pick up again on Friday and Saturday. So I mean, you got 3 games coming up here in the next few days. From a scheduling standpoint, you got Thanksgiving in the middle there. Does that make it a little bit difficult? Is that kind of nice to have that little break in before the weekend?
Yeah,
games,
I
or?
think the Thanksgiving is obviously it's a holiday that for us at this level we don't really get.
Right.
I mean, we just don't. But yeah, it's good. We're playing well, so it's nice to get back out there and just play again, right? Like the guys are probably tired of hearing me yell at them or be on them in practice. So, but no, it's good. It's good to have a quick turnaround. I think no matter what, even when you're playing poorly, sometimes you just want to get back there and try and figure it out. So, but yeah, I like the midweek game. It's a couple short practices yesterday and today, and right back on it, and we'll skate really quickly Thursday morning, and then head to Eagle River for another 2 big games. So It's exciting. I mean, we have some games in hand on the teams in front of us. So for us to play 3 games in a week, we kind of pick one of those games up and hopefully can keep climbing up that standings ladder.
Right, definitely. So yeah, you mentioned the standings ladder. If you're looking at our standings ladder, you're at 27 points, but Kenai's up there at first, just 31. So I mean, you're only 4 points back. Do you see this as a trend that this is just going to play out the whole season? Just kind of this tight race and could go any way. I mean, a weekend could change this
for sure. Yeah, I mean, I think so. I think our hope is that we can get on a little bit of a roll and rattle off a few wins in a row like that. That's what it's going to take in the division. As you see, everyone's kind of been like win 1, lose 1, win 2, lose 1. It's nobody's really kind of separated themselves. If you look at the Central with Austin, I think they're on like a 9-1 last 10. Star in Oklahoma, same thing. They've separated because they've rattled off a few in a row. So that's what it's going to take. I think we got 8 games left between now and our Christmas break. So we'd love to kind of get on a little bit of a run heading into that break. So maybe separate a little. So, but again, it's tough. It's every night. It's competitive. Every team is good, well coached, prideful. And you have to be consistent. That's what we talk about all the time. Just because you win one night, you don't just automatically win the next night. You have to find a way to be a little bit better. So we're working on that, and I think we're getting close. We played, I'd say all but probably 10 or 15 minutes out of 2 games this weekend. I thought we played our game, which is nice.
Right, definitely. So you mentioned it. You're going to be on the road for this week for your 3 games, but then you're back at home in the beginning part of December against Fairbanks too. Well,
yeah. So those games, they're
technically home, but not home, sort
correct.
of thing.
Yeah. So we have a little bit of a road stretch here, which is always nice. Builds a little character for our group. And
so does that count against like your home schedules? Because even though it says you're home, but you're not home, if you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. So it's like it's a neutral site game that we're the home team.
Okay.
But it's there. They played in Marshall the COVID year. So it's their home, but for the sake of the game, with the line changes and stuff like that, we will be considered the home team. yeah, it'll count against our home schedule, and at the end of the day, there's no real effect on that. I mean, it'll be cool that we'll be a part of that. I mean, they kind of really entrenched themselves in that community down in Marshall in a short period of time. I mean, both games will be sold out, so
and that's a chance for you guys to really kind of climb up, because Fairbanks also has 31 points in your division too. So
yeah, I mean, the Wilderness this weekend, and then Eagle River. And then
not to look too far ahead.
Yeah, but, we're kind of we're always kind of looking at it at both lenses. But yeah, I mean, Kenai and Fairbanks both on the schedule here before the end of the break. So yeah, I mean, definitely, you got to beat. I mean, it's silly, but you got to beat the guys above you to catch them, and the guys below you to keep them below you, right? I mean, it's just like, so everything is important, and when it's tight, it's even that much more important.
Right, exactly. Kind of off topic here a little bit, but I forgot. I got to ask you, NHL team. Who's your favorite NHL team?
Devils.
Oh, so you and Kyle are Devils fans, aren't you? So you got to be living high right now, right?
Yeah, he's texting me this morning about I mean, they won last night, 13 in a row. I mean,
yeah,
that's a little. We would like to get on a streak like that.
Yeah, because he mentioned, I couldn't remember if you were a Devils fan last week or not too. So
I am.
Yeah, you guys got to be rolling in this thing right now. Holy
yeah,
moly.
It's you know what, it's been a tough few years for the Devils and the Giants. So it's nice to have some relevancy again.
You couldn't beat the Lions for us though. I mean,
that was kind of sad.
That's still, we don't have anything different. Rooting for that.
I know.
that's not great.
No.
But no, that's a fantastic start for the Devils right now.
Yeah, kind of out of the blue a little bit. I mean, I think people thought that they were going to be improved. They obviously had some subpar goaltending last year, so they look to improve on that. And I think analytically they're one of the best teams in the league. So people can. I think there's a balance in that analytics. Like a lot of people will say it. Like, I need to see it. You need to see it with your eyes. People dominate or be a good team, and
right.
But it's definitely a factor. Those analytics have come a long way, I think, into kind of spilling what the game does tell you.
Right.
But the things that doesn't show is the character and the camaraderie and the team aspect of what you have going on, right? So it's obviously Devils have something good going both ways.
Right. All right. So I'm assuming you probably don't have anything too planned for Thanksgiving, because you got games on the both end of it.
Yeah.
But I'll ask you this: like, if you were doing your power ranking Thanksgiving meal, your top three, what's on Coach Casey's plate when he's going through the thing?
I mean, for me, number one is sweet potatoes.
Okay.
Like that's my number one. A good stuffing, and then you can't have a Thanksgiving plate without turkey, right? I mean, like, it's the staple, and
you putting gravy over all of that, or
maybe just the turkey and the stuffing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love a good deep fried Thanksgiving turkey.
Ooh, deep fried.
It's delicious.
Yeah. I've never had a deep fried.
Oh, it's good.
I have to try that.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. It's quick.
Yeah.
It's crispy, juicy.
I'll have to do that.
Gotta make sure you have your own thermometer though. We have a family joke about the Thanksgiving. We had one Thanksgiving. We didn't have any like oil thermometers. There's just a meat thermometer, and that turkey came out a little dusty. It might have been a little overdone. So
kind of like Christmas Vacation.
That's it. The Griswolds. That's kind of it's our family group chat name too, is the Griswolds. So
that's perfect.
Yeah, that's a running joke about the thermometers for sure. So it's funny how it happens one time and no one ever.
They won't.
They never forget it.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
It's good.
So yes, you guys will be on the road here for a little bit, but you'll return home after that. So kind of looking. Don't want to get too far ahead, but you've played to kind of wrap it up. You've played Eagle River already once or a couple times.
Yeah, twice. So we've played with playing the Wilderness now. We've played everyone.
Okay.
At least one weekend.
Right. So you're familiar with everybody now
for
at
sure.
This point in the season.
And I think now teams are fine. Teams that we saw early on have made change. This is from here on out. Teams are starting to relatively remain the same. Like there's so much movement in the first couple months,
right?
Just based on how the leagues start and the deadlines and everything. But now, for the most part, a lot of that USHL movement is kind of done. So our movement, slows down a little bit. Now you start to see teams really kind of take hold of who they're going to be,
Their identity
personnel wise, moving forward.
Gotcha. So, all right. So Steel, busy week, 3 games this week on the road. Then returning home in the beginning part of December. We're already in December then. Holy,
I know.
Next week already.
It's crazy how fast it goes.
That's insane. Well, best of luck this week.
Yeah, thank you.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Likewise,
I know you won't have a lot of time there, but stay well.
Sounds good.
Do you have anything planned? Fun?
No, I don't know. I think me, Kyle, and Steve, my assistant, we'll get together and
watch some Devils.
Yeah, hang out and have some food and
do it up.
Enjoy.
Man. Exactly. So, well, you have a good week then.
All right, thanks. You too.
You got it. All right, we're going to take a really quick break, and we'll be back. We'll catch up with RJ from the Zone in Madison after these few quick words. It's Axe Week, so let's talk a little Badgers with our man, Mr. R.J. Cardinal from the Zone in Madison. Fresh off of watching the game in Nebraska, too, RJ. RJ, was that your first time going to Nebraska to check out a game, or have you been there before? Oh, gotcha. Really? Even when they were up 7-0. Man, so they Badgers got it, 15-14 victory. I mean, closer than what I think. Well, a lot of us were kind of hoping for, or looking for maybe a little bit more of a dominant victory. But nonetheless, Badgers are bowl eligible, right, RJ? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right. Okay. So you could beat Minnesota, get the axe, and name Jimmy Leonard. Yeah, there you go. That's a heck of a weekend. Gotcha. Okay, interesting. So it's posted out there. I guess if anybody's listening, they want to submit their application, they can do so. Yeah, yeah. Mm, interesting. I'm curious who that current prominent coach is. Hmm. Yeah, I was just on Football Scoop as you mentioned. I just saw 20 minutes ago they posted too that sources tell them Whitewater's going to have a new head football coach because Kevin Bullis is going to retire. So yeah, right. Exactly. Exactly. So, but that's got to be one of the most premier, I would think, D3 football jobs in the country. Yeah. Right. Exactly. All right, RJ. So we got Minnesota this week. What? How do you see this one playing out? What's your breakdown? What's your keys to victory? Key matchups. We had a few texters already chime in, pumped up about Axe Week. They want that Axe in Madison. So how do you? What are your keys to victory for the Badgers in this one? Cole Kramer. Okay. Oh yeah, Calicamanis. Yeah, Calicamanis. Hmm. Right. RJ Cardinal, our Badger analyst, joining us. So we'll get your prediction here before I let you go, but I want to hit up a couple other things here. Badger hoops getting ready for Battle for Atlantis coming up tomorrow. Their first game. So looking at this game, they're coming off of that Green Bay game, RJ, where it was 56-45 and struggling shooting there a little bit. So it's been a little bit of an extended time off here. Dayton was ranked, but they're coming off of a loss themselves. Like, was it UNLV? I think they lost to last week off the top of my head. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. You mentioned we kind of went through the teams a little bit earlier, but yeah, I mean Kansas is in this thing. Um, you've got excuse me, was it Tennessee is also in this tournament too? So I mean, there's some heavy hitters in this thing. We got so if Wisconsin wins, it looks like they would play Kansas if Kansas wins too, if I'm reading the bracket correctly. So yeah, switching over to hockey quick before we wrap up with some college football here, but men's hockey, RJ got a couple more wins now, and we got to give a shout. We were talking with Coach Casey from the Chippewa Steel, who one of his players just committed to the Badgers a couple days ago. Joey Sylvester, defenseman from Minnesota over there. So Badgers getting a good one there. But Badgers got a couple wins in a row. But what do you make of these? I mean, you got Michigan coming up next week though too. I mean, is this, you're hoping that's building some confidence with this team? I mean, do you take anything away from these 4 wins that the Badgers men's hockey team just had? Put it bluntly, no. Mm, right. uh, you're right, man. You're right. All right. So before I let you go, before I get your Badger pick, I'm gonna put you on the spot. Give me your pick between Michigan and Ohio State on Saturday. Okay. So even if like USC beats 18th Notre Dame and like Michigan loses, but it's a close game, you think Michigan will still be in that top 4? Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right, and then you've got Badgers, Gophers. Your prediction? I like it. I like it. All right, RJ, you have a fantastic Thanksgiving too, buddy. Okay, what's your main go to for your Thanksgiving meal? Ooh, yeah. I like it. I like it. Well, you have a fantastic week, buddy, and we'll check in again with you next week. Okay, sir? You got it. There you go. There's RJ Cardinal, our Badger analyst, breaking it all down for us. We got to take a quick break and then wrapping things up. We'll be back after these words. All right, we only got about like a minute or two left to the top of the hour here, so I want to throw a reminder. We got Blue Golds basketball on the radio tonight, men's and women's. Women's are going to be up first against St. Norbert, 6 p.m. tip. And then after that, men will be taking on Northland. So you can catch those games tonight at 105.1 FM and 790 AM, and also at Sports Talk 1051.com. All right. As I said, we've only got about a minute. I can't get into a whole lot. So tomorrow we'll do another edition of Showdown, which 2 years are going to do battle with each other. We are going to do a little stock rising, stock fallers, stock reports, whose stock is rising, whose stock is falling. A good vibes Wednesday, good vibes only Wednesday. We'll get to that tomorrow as well. Tomorrow will be our last show for the week with Thanksgiving on Thursday and no show on Friday. So we'll have a little fun with that leading into the long weekend out there. And again, hunters, if you're still going out there, be safe. Best of luck. Don't forget to send us your pictures so we can upload them to the Tilden Gun Trophy Board. Okay, you can upload them by visiting sportstalk1051.com. Click on the Outdoors tab or the Nation tab. Located both spots there, and just upload your pictures there. So send those babies on over. All right. DP and the Danuts, they're going to be up next here in just a little bit because that shot clock is going to cut me off here. So big thanks to all of you for participating, sending me some texts, tweets, Facebook messages, all that good stuff. Appreciate that. Big thanks to Coach Casey for stopping in, RJ Cardinal, Joey D, all that good stuff. So, all right, that's going to do it for us. We'll be back tomorrow, just past 6 a.m. Hopefully the voice is back a little bit better tomorrow. Have a good rest of your day, everybody. We'll talk to you again tomorrow morning.